Hi and welcome back to Cheeky Crypto. My name is Nick and today guys we're jumping into the world of Cardano's ADA. A lot has been going on with the price action of Cardano's ADA, and in this video we want to take a look to see whether structures have changed, whether our outlooks have changed, whether we can still be bullish, or actually is it time to start thinking about cheaper ADA on the near term horizon. As I get into the video, if you find it useful and informative, smash the like button. I really do appreciate that. It helps spread the content to more like-minded individuals. If you're new to the channel, welcome. Why not go ahead and subscribe? You can always unsubscribe later if you wanted to, but I sincerely hope that you do not. And if you tap the bell, you'll select all the notifications, and yeah, you won't miss another video update. Above and beyond all of that, though, make sure you join us down in Discord if you haven't done so already, linked in the description below. It's a fantastic community talking crypto 24/7, and it's the first place that we go to notify you of everything that's going on in the crypto space. Let's jump right down into this content and take a look at what's going on with the price action of Cardano's ADA. So here we have smart money concepts drawn up on the daily time frame. This basically shows us that one candle is one day, so it can take quite a long period of time before you actually start to see outputs from what I'm going to be talking about in this video. Obviously, the lower the time frames you go, the faster the moves are, and the more volatility you may start to see and start to experience. Ultimately, though, on the daily time frame, if you're looking for DCA and you're looking for good price appreciation, then this is kind of where you want to be looking, in my opinion. Now, I did cover Bitcoin earlier today, and in that video, there's some interesting developments with potential structures taking us down deeper. Now, those are yet to be confirmed, okay? They're not guaranteed by any stretch of the imagination, and so therefore we want to be a little bit optimistic where we can. Maybe the bulls will be able to avoid those kind of bearish situations on Bitcoin, but what if we do get confirmation that we start going down in a more bearish structure for BTC? What does that mean for Cardano's ADA? And well, that's kind of where I want to position this video. What if, right? So what if Bitcoin does break down? What does that mean for Cardano? And well, unfortunately, Cardano here actually looks like it's potentially breaking down quite a bit already. Okay, so we want to kind of understand what's going on. So from smart money concepts, it's a little bit laggy. It doesn't give us the kind of the idea of everything looking bearish right now. It actually looks reasonably bullish if you just take a look at the market structure. You got this change of character that's tagged up in green. This is an indication that there's a bullish structure for Cardano's ADA here, right? So it's in a bullish structure with a weak high up here. However, when you start to dig down just a fraction deeper, you start to realize that we're getting rejected here from the 50 and 200 EMAs and equilibrium. Okay, so it gives me a little bit of ground for concern. You can also see that we're kind of wedged in between this red area and this green area, right? We're just battling it out. Essentially, you got your bulls down here trying to push the price of ADA to the upside. And at the same time as that's occurring, you can see that the bears are trying to drag the Bitcoin price down. Okay, so there's a bit of a battle going on between the bulls and the bears when it comes to Cardano's ADA here. Now, we take a look at some of the other things specifically here. If I bring hold this one here, we can see that we are in what I would call a concerning structure, okay? And the concern is that we can still push up higher here, probably get rejected on that higher range again. Looking at it, we've got this upper bound where we're getting rejected, and we've got this lower bound where we're getting support. Now, previously, this was much tighter, and you could argue that we've maybe already lost this, okay? But essentially, higher highs, higher lows do unfortunately have a tendency to want to break on down, and vice versa. When we start slipping down like this, you can't go in that direction all the time. We have to have the breaks to the upside. So at the moment, this is looking like we might have a small push up higher, if anything at all. Now, if we take this from a higher side down to our lower side, you might argue that we've already had a bit of a bullish break up, but it looks like it might just starting to be turning on us. And it may be Bitcoin that is at fault there. As I said, those structures are looking quite bearish on Bitcoin, and Bitcoin will lead the way when it comes to many of these altcoins, including Cardano's ADA. So, taking a look at this, we've got a couple of fair value gaps down at the bottom of interest to us. So we can see 25 to 26 cent, and we have this one at 28 to 29 cent. So for the most part, it looks like, that's an area that we want to be thinking about at some point in the near future. Now, if I take this to a out of smart money concepts and over into Elliott wave, we can see that we have moved up. We actually had a shorter than expected C wave here. And then we start to move on down. And this actually looks like we kind of have completed a 5-wave count here. So it's a zigzag pattern coming to the downside on our daily time frame. So if I just bring this across here for a second, we can kind of start to see that, yes, we had 5 waves here. We bounced up, and it looks like we've had, you know, a 5-wave count coming down here as well. It's actually quite choppy, but we can see we'd have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 potentially in that way. We're a bit of a strange wave 3 to be fair, but I would label that up a wave 3, 4, and 5 right inside there. And then we'd have that as a zigzag pattern. Nothing terribly too unusual. A, B, and C. However, the other thing to kind of bear in mind is that we haven't really come out of this in any strong way. We kind of see this 3-wave corrective pattern here that tapped right into our expectations. Our expectations were 38.64 to 39.46, as you can kind of see right here. And where did we wick to? Well, we wicked up to the high of 38.63. So right up on that expectation of where that C wave should go. So 1-to-1 complete and then rejection. So over the last few days, you can see that we've just been kind of pulling back to the downside here. And so what we're going to do is we're just going to pull up our hourly chart here just to kind of see and reflect on what is going on within this last little pull to the downside. And you can kind of see we pushed right up here for a big wave 2. Okay, we've come back, wave 1, wave 2. And again, we start to see this slippage really coming down quite deep until we get this really strong wave 3 right in here. So up for wave 4, down into wave 5. So it looks like what we've got, kind of got going on here is a wave 1, 2, 3, 4, still got to do 5. And that may actually end up being nested quite a bit because this looks like it's a wave 1, wave 2. So this here might actually also be a bit of a nested position like this. And then we start seeing, you know, moves like this, and so forth. And then we start to realize that this is mirroring a lot of what Bitcoin has been doing. And so what's my kind of hopes here for Cardano's ADA if we start really seeing a slippage like this to the downside? Well, it might not look like much on our daily time frame, right? Bring up our daily here. Might not look like there's terribly too much of a correction occurring. But the worry is that if we start to complete those structures, then our local high here isn't likely to get broken. So a high of 38.63. So like I said, I think a lot is riding on Bitcoin leading the way. And if Bitcoin decides it wants to, or the people trading Bitcoin decide that they want to be really bearish on BTC, then we might see some of those structures getting completed, which then means that we might start seeing such a structure start to emerge here for Cardano's ADA. And, you know, therefore we'll probably be looking at retesting 34 cents down at this low range for a double bottom. Now, the positive news is that I would look at this as just a potential double zigzag pattern, so a W, X, and Y on a bigger scale. So let me show you what that would look like if I bring this up to our daily time frame again, right? So as we can kind of see, if I just bring this right up here, okay, we can kind of see that we have this zigzag coming down here. Okay, all of that would essentially be labeled up as a W wave coming down, an X wave coming up here, and potentially a Y wave coming down later. So we might actually see, as I said, those fair value gaps that were just a little bit lower on our price chart. Let me bring them up over here. This one being 28 to 29 cents could actually be an area that we actually end up just completing a WXY into. Now, the concern is, and it's way too soon to know, the concern would be that maybe we go deeper than that and we go a W, X, Y, X, and Z, and we tap into those lower ranges. And that would be a triple zigzag pattern, right? The triple threes. Now, that's not necessarily something that we can know at this stage, but looking at it, we've completed a zigzag pattern and we've just had a really weak move up to the upside out of that zigzag pattern. So great, we had a correction to the downside. It could have ended here and we could have rallied, but the bulls just were not that interested in pushing the price action higher. So therefore, with insufficient demand and, you know, circulating supply being reasonable, then, you know, there's only really one way for things to kind of play out at that particular time, and that was a weak move to the upside with further downside. So a double zigzag pattern is something that we need to consider here. Not a guarantee, of course, because we can just have strings of corrections, but for the most part, would expect WXY to take us down slightly deeper, more towards 29 cents, losing that kind of 30 cent level. Now, obviously, double bottom in that particular way of thinking. It could be just a big ranging market for Cardano's ADA. That's another possibility that could play out slightly longer term. So we want to be really mindful of various different things that could potentially unfold over the coming kind of weeks and months. Now, as we kind of come up into our weekly time frame, we still got some push to the downside. We haven't fully become oversold or anything like that. So we still look for corrections to the downside on our weekly time frame, you can see that we've also had a cross on our 50 and 200 EMA. So again, not looking great. The short-term price action is now lower than the longer-term price action, so people would look at that as quite bearish as well. So we still look for further downside on ADA on a longer-term view. From the monthly standpoint, we're progressing up towards overbought, but again, this thing can just bounce around a little bit, and we'll see how this one goes. We basically got rejected on our monthly 50 EMA. You can see that right in there. And again, it's possible that we've bottomed, but it's also possible that we haven't. For now, I think we probably have, because I was expecting 22 and we came down to like 23 so came down to 23.92, and that's pretty close to where I was originally thinking. Now, it can of course lose that low and we can go down deeper if we needed to, but for the most part, I'm looking at the structures and I'm thinking there's actually a lot of accumulation occurring. There's reasonable amounts of selling pressure, but it's really holding quite nicely at the moment. But you know, what if Bitcoin goes down to 10k? Well, in which case, yeah, there's probably no case here to say that you're going to hold this one, and we probably are going to go down deeper. So I think ultimately all eyes are on Bitcoin here, see what Bitcoin does, and you know, we'll be able to kind of analyze whether or not Cardano's ADA is going to follow Bitcoin on that direction, or whether or not, you know, we're going to hold this 23.92. Chances are, if Bitcoin decides it wants to really go for the lower side of the spectrum, specifically around where it was previously, you know, 15,000, maybe just testing that range, 17,000, testing that range, we're going to be testing deeper here on Cardano's ADA for sure, in my opinion. Like I said, double zigzag is kind of where my mind is at the moment, looking slightly deeper after the recent developments of things. And yeah, I mean, you could probably look 19 to 22 if we're fortunate enough to kind of hold it in and around this range. Otherwise, yeah, some cheaper ADA, and I wouldn't mind that, to be fair. Like, more accumulation would be fantastic. At the same time, I also would not mind a bullish market either. So for now, it is what it is. The data is the data, and it looks like we are potentially getting ready for a bit of a move to the downside. Hopefully it will hold well, and we can just do a little bit more dollar cost averaging in accumulation in this range. But bear in mind, I'm not a financial advisor. I cannot give you financial advice. This is simply my thoughts on the market as I see it at the moment. Let me know what yours are in the comments down below. Are you bullish on ADA on the short term or bearish on ADA on the short term? Obviously, long term, I think most people are bullish considering everything that is going on the ecosystem. But let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you found this useful and informative, smash the like button. I do appreciate that. If you are new to the channel, then why not go ahead and subscribe, tap the bell, select all the notifications, and you won't miss another video update. Don't forget to join us in Discord, and guys, I'll catch you all in the next one.
We are not financial advisors. None of what we have communicated verbally or in writing here should be considered as financial advice. It is not. Do your own research before investing in any digital asset or affiliate offers, and understand that investing in any crypto is risky. If you do, you need to be prepared to lose your entire investment. This video is for information and entertainment purposes only. All our videos are strictly personal opinions. Please make sure you do your own research and never take our opinions for financial guidance. There are multiple strategies, and not all strategies fit all people. Our videos are not financial advice.